most depressing aspects of the 2019 general election is the polling which reveals a very extensive distrust in politicians. It is depressing that when asked about the leaders of any party, there is broadly a view that they don't trust them. That is a sad reflection on the state of democracy and the state of the relationship between the leaders of our political parties and those they speak for. All over this country, there are men and women whose loyalties to a political party in this election have been stretched beyond breaking point. And I hope the British public will take note of the fact that whilst politicians, people like me, do not count on the trust of the people by and large, we're all in it for what we can get out of it. We never listen, we don't care, you know all the words. There are men and women whose commitment to their country, our country, their sense of what matters to Britain, where the future of Britain lies, where the future of the younger generation lies, means that they have torn up their traditional loyalties. And there are people who will vote, and there are people who are standing for election, who have put behind them the traditional loyalties to their party because they perceive a greater loyalty to their country. And I want to salute those people, those politicians who have risked everything, their careers, in order to be able to say, I stood by my convictions and I voted for my national interest. I'm here as a proud member of the Conservative Party. I joined it in 1955, in October of 1955, when our leader was Sir Winston Churchill. And I have served in governments led by Ted Heath, Margaret Thatcher, John Major, David Cameron. And I did so with great pride. Indeed, those of you who opposed my party over those decades may have seen me as the ruffian in the centre of the battleground. There were few great confrontations in which I played a part. I make no claim to the part that I played, but one. Wherever the battle was thickest, I was in the centre of it. Whether it was opposing nationalisation programmes, whether it was seeking to reduce state power and fighting denationalisation, whether it was the battle over CND or selling of the council houses, I was there for my party. But throughout that entire time, there was, for my party, one overriding argument that we deployed and argued for. It was the one theme of post-imperial Britain, and it argued that we should target our destiny for this country at the heart of Europe. The incredible words of Sir Winston himself, we must create a kind of United States of Europe. It gives the lie to all those who had no idea what the journey was about. Harold Macmillan's incredible speech, The Wind of Change, depicting our imperial past as the past and pointing forward to a journey in partnership with our European colleagues. I had the privilege of being the first minister in the British government to speak in the United States of America after we had joined the European Union in 1973. and I was able to articulate, as I believed then, the new partnership across the Atlantic, a partnership of equals in which the United Kingdom would play its full part in admiration of the United States, but in partnership with the other European countries. And then, of course, I served in Mrs. Thatcher's government, where in the name of British self-interest we shared sovereignty on a scale without precedent in history by signing up to the Single European Act. Many of those who listen to what I say tonight will have travelled that journey with me, but there are many from other parties who will not have travelled along the same road. But whichever journey we took through the second half of the 20th century and the first quarter of this, there is one thing that has brought us all together. We will never vote to make this country poorer. We will never vote to make this country less influential on the world stage. We are united across the political divide in our conviction that it is our duty, our personal duty, to fight for British influence wherever power exists in the modern world. We are British in a united Europe, and we are proud of what that Europe has created. It's not been just a means of forging rising living standards for the countless millions of our people, important though that has been. It has been that we have driven the words communism and fascism from the dictionary of European politics. We have seen the end of the colonels in Greece. We are proud to have been able to confront the extremes that so beset our European past. And we are proud to have shared our national power with nations like us, so that we can collectively exercise an influence in the century that is unfolding, way above anything that we as nation states could do so on our own. One of the more extreme and unreliable claims of the present election campaign is that we can get Brexit done on the last month of this year. It is technically true that Boris Johnson could get a parliamentary majority in the ensuing election to enable him to get the legislation through Parliament which would set him on the journey to take Britain out of Europe. But that does not take us out of Europe. All it does is to, like a sort of boxer about to enter the ring, he will take us to a position where the real debate, the real punch-up begins. And there is no certain end to that, but there is one certain consequence, that the uncertainty that has brought large parts of the investment in this country to a halt will be perpetuated all through next year as the vital claims of the nation states of Europe all survey the deal that we want, and being human, they will all put on the table the deals that they want. And no one has the first idea, except that it will take an unpredictable period of time, but no one has the first idea what will be on offer at the end of that process, or when the process will end. But one thing you do know, the deal on offer may not be acceptable to the British people, and then, in order to fulfill the manifesto commitment of Mr. Johnson, we have to leave with no deal. The worst of all conceivable options, still on the table at an unpredictable period in an unpredictable set of circumstances. So next year is one of uncertainty. Of course, you may travel with the optimism of those who think that the loss of European trade, nearly half of all our trade, is of a balance. Let's be neutral in our language. A balance because Mr. Trump will ride to the rescue of the United Kingdom. Well, you may believe that. I don't know how many of you will believe it, but I would offer a word of caution. Mr. Trump is fighting for his political life. And curiously enough, he's going to be fighting for his political life more or less the whole period when Mr. Johnson thinks he's going to get a deal from Mr. Trump. And I don't know a great deal about American politics, but I think I have a sort of inkling about Mr. Trump and American politics, that it has a national flavor about it. It is not a national British flavor. It is, surprise, surprise, an American flavor. And in the United States, so I read in the newspapers and see on television, there is a hardcore of American public opinion that actually likes Mr. Trump and trusts Mr. Trump. Because every time he says he will put America first, and American jobs first, and American deals first, they thrill with expectation and excitement because they feel betrayed. So when it comes to helping Boris Johnson, fighting for a very different electorate in a very different part of the world, how many times is Mr. Trump going to risk his presidential fragility majority in order to help his friends across the Atlantic? Well, let's not diminish the scale of his friends. He has two friends. He has Nigel Farage. And so let us not underestimate Boris has his allies and his friends. But if you are going to gamble the future of the United Kingdom on the credibility of the generosity of Mr. Trump and the far-sighted global wisdom of Nigel Farage, you will understand why I cannot take the journey with you. I have left your company. I will vote for British self-interest and those people who are standing in its name. But then they say, we will take back control. Well, who can deny that? What a thrilling thought that we will be in charge, be able to thump them if we don't like what they're doing. Stand up and be proud, take back control. I only have one really significant question that seems to me to flow from this elixir of newfound power. What are you going to do with it? What control are you going to exercise? Show me the changes that you have in mind so that we will all benefit from this dramatic exercise that you are talking about. Why don't you publish the regulations that you intend to change so that we all know where this journey ends? Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but I have a deep suspicion I know why they don't publish the details. Because what is in the mind of the more extreme members of the Tory party, and I must make it clear I do not believe all Conservatives think like this, because all Conservatives have created the very apparatus that some Conservatives now say they want to undermine. And I was proud to have been part of the One Nation tradition that built the regulations that make Europe a civilized place. So why don't they publish the regulations that will change the conditions of the workplace, the conditions of our environment, what is to happen with our health and safety? And I will tell you why they will not publish them. Because they're frightened of the impact it will have on public opinion in this election if people have the first idea of what they will do with the power that they say they want to regain. And you know, it is the same story with immigration. Now, I do not in any way wish to underestimate the deep emotional feelings that immigration creates in every society, in every part of the world, amongst peoples of all colors and all creeds. There is a human element, and it is best to admit it and understand it, because unless you do, you will never learn how to fight it. And I have, again, in my lifetime, been at the forefront of the experience of this in this country. It so happened that as a very young man, my first experiences, I had a very small hotel in London. And at the same time, we were providing a service to large British companies in the field of employment. And I knew what was going on. I remember our hotel was full. And so a guy came, I said, I'm very sorry, I have no room. But up the road, I have friends, I'll ring you. I rang, yes, we have a room. I took him up. 3 minutes later, we arrived, and the room was no longer there. He, of course, was black. I saw all those bits of paper coming in from employers. No colours written across them. I knew what was going on. And so when Enoch Powell made that infamous speech, I was the first Conservative to criticise it. And I refused to take the Tory whip, which urged me to vote against the then Labour government's proposal for the abolition of anything that threatened racial, religious, or any other form of intolerance. 3 weeks later, to their credit, my party abandoned their opposition. But I had refused the Tory whip, and I'm proud to say that. It was my experiences in Liverpool in 1981, where there was a racial problem, deeply felt. And I had to speak to my party conference in October of that year, and I realized the sensitivities, deeply held emotions, and if I may say so, the risk of causing dissension within the party if I addressed this issue. And the first draft of my speech was 4 pages long. When I made the speech, as I worked on it and thought about it, anguished, it came down to 4 lines. They're black, they're British, they were born here, they vote here. And the Tory party got to its feet and cheered me to the end. I have never been so proud of my party. And it showed, above all else, that we are the most tolerant nation on earth. We are a party that hates prejudice. Today, at this moment, it has shown a new emergence. It's this time about the Jews. Well, any of my Jewish friends, and there are many, will have a great familiarity with that. It was here in the 1930s when British people, yes, British people marched in protest. And it's now apparently seeping through into the Labour Party. I, like everyone, was appalled by Mr. Corbyn's failure to accept a responsibility and apologise. But that is not the Labour Party. There are millions of Labour Party supporters who hate all of that as much as I do. And I hope that they will understand that in this country, in this great city, the merging of the talents and the enthusiasms and the energies of people from all over the world has made this a city that is the envy of the world. One of the most tolerant cities, one of the most successful cities, because we learn how to live with each other, love each other, work together with each other, and build on our strengths wherever our parents or grandparents may have come from. Of course, it is the easiest issue on which to campaign. We've had 10 years of austerity, and they have been long and hard and borne down particularly on the least able to afford it. It's the same in America, and it is the consequence of the crash of 2008, when governments, people, and companies all overspent and overborrowed, and it has been 10 years of payback time. And so people are looking for an alibi. Time for a change, the oldest political slogan in electioneering, time for a change. What do you mean by change? Stop the immigrants. Blame Brussels. And that, of course, is another example of where public trust has evaporated, because we have significant numbers of immigrants coming into this country. And apparently, we're going to control the numbers and greatly reduce them. I understand that immigration control is bound to play a role in the huge wealth imbalances across the world. What I find difficult to understand is why we have introduced no effective control measures to deal with the problem that we have today. Well, the first answer, the dishonest answer, is because we are covered by European law. That accounts for about 50,000 net immigrants into this country this year. There were 5 times as many immigrants coming from outside the European Union. And why is it that we've done nothing about that? Europe has no say in the matter at all. It is entirely within the free power of the British Parliament to act as the government can secure a majority. So why haven't they done it? I'll tell you why they haven't done it. They haven't done it because they daren't unleash the consequences to our health service, to our universities, to our industrial capability, to the very fabric of our society, where men and women of colour, class and creed are providing vital public service and commercial and educational input into the quality of our society. So they don't tell you the truth either about the regulations that they want to get rid of. They don't tell you the truth about the immigration that they need in order to sustain the livelihood and civilized pattern of behavior of our country. They tell you none of these things. They simply pander to the language and emotionalism that underlies human prejudice across the world. In America, it is the Mexicans and the war. But in Europe, it is the foreigner and Brussels. Be warned about the message and the messengers who portray this insidious injection into the body politic of British democracy. And so I say to anyone who is, well, let me say something slightly different. There is one thing on which I profoundly agree with Boris Johnson. This is the overarchingly most important election of modern times. Because we are talking in this election not just about our prosperity and our living standards. We're talking about the sort of people we want to be, the sort of people we believe we are, the sort of society we want to bequeath to the younger generation, to the voice of this country wherever power is influenced. And I do not see an alternative version to the European Union where Britain can punch its weight in one of the great powers of this century. I do not in any way countenance the breakup of the United Kingdom, but I tell you, you vote Brexit and you will see the repercussions in Northern Ireland and in Scotland, and we will be the poorer as the fracture of the United Kingdom proceeds in a way that is all too likely. So in the end, it all comes down to that very simple thought. You are British, you have a vote. Vote for your country and its self-interest in the world, believing, as I believe you do, that we have a historic tradition, a background of tolerance, a concept of self-interest, which is a value not to us, but to the wider communities of the world in which our future lies. Thank you very much.